Hello, my name's Simon Berger and I'm the owner and founder of Japan Auto Auctions. I've been living in Japan since 1990. I now speak and read Japanese fluently. I exported my first car from Japan to Australia in 1996, and since 1998 we've been exporting cars, trucks and other machinery all around the globe. A great testament, I think, to the quality of our service and the pride that we take in our work is that we still send cars to dealers that we first supplied way back in 1998 and 1999. I think that's a good indication of the trustworthiness of the business that we conduct. We've always been a global supplier in terms of exporting cars from Japan to countries all over the world. But now we are also able to export cars, Harley Davidsons, RVs, classic cars from the United States. So if you have a particular interest in left-hand drive vehicles, or as I say, American muscle cars, through a great friend of mine in the United States, we are able to supply all of those vehicles at excellent prices. Also, if you're looking for vehicles in the United Kingdom, anything classic or even brand new, through a very good partner of ours that I've been dealing with for 15 years now, we are able to supply cars out of the UK at trade price. We will negotiate trade prices for you and also make sure you secure your VAT refund. So once again, if you're looking for cars out of not just Japan, but also the United States, out of the UK and Europe, we will now be able to supply you. In that respect, I think we've become a true global supplier of vehicles. What I'd like to do now is take you down to a local Japanese auto auction, TAA, a Toyota auction, and we're going to have a look at a few cars at the auction, have a look at an auction sheet. I'll show you how to read the auction sheet, and we'll check over and see just how accurate it is. Okay, we'll see you down at the auction and then come back to the office later. Thanks. Okay, we're at TAA this morning, TAA Kinki, which is the Toyota Auto Auction in the Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto area. We're going to be looking just around the auction day, have a look at a few cars, take you over, show you the auction sheet. This one's as good as any. This is a Toyota Fielder Wagon, or Corolla Fielder Wagon. TAA has a reputation as being a very strict auction when it comes to their auction sheets and how they look at the cars. Same as Honda Auto Auction is also very strict, compared to, say, some of the USS and CAA auctions, which can be a little bit loose sometimes. So let's just see how accurate their auction is when we look at the vehicle. So let's have a look at the car. I'm going to cover the kilometres with my finger. It's auction lot number 16. It's first registered in 2005, February. It's a Corolla Fielder Wagon 5-door, X Limited. It was privately registered, 1500cc petrol engine. Here is the Kataski or model type of vehicle. Automatic, climate control, air conditioning, black, the recycle fee, which doesn't concern people who are buying from overseas, colour number, grey interior, and it's registered for 5 people. The options: ABS, airbag, power steer, power windows. There's the complete chassis number, the size of the vehicle. There's our length, there's our width, and there's our height. Now here we have the auctioneer's comments, or the inspector's comments. This is Stimari S, which basically means underneath there may be a little bit of surface rust. On the dashboard there is some glue residue. The mirror may have a little scratch on it. The wheel cover may have a little bit of a scratch on it. The rear spoiler says P, which means we've got perhaps a paint problem or a lack of paint there. And the rear gate dampers are basically stuffed, so they probably won't support the weight of the gate. Now if we look at the car, we'll turn it around this way. There's the front bumper, there's the rear bumper. It says we've got an A1 here and an A1 there. U2, A1, 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 U1. What does this mean? A is a scratch, 1 is the level of the scratch. Generally it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 being the worst, A being the lightest. U is a dent. U2, so this will be a small dent. The A1's looking at this auction sheet and being TAA, I wouldn't bother about anything with 1. It's the level that you could get cut and polish and just buff it out if you can even find it all. So let's have a look. Down here on this front bumper, we've got some very fine little sort of, not scrapes, but little fine marks here. Once again, there's no, you can't feel any indentation with your fingernail, you can't feel any indentation that. You may even be able to use a little bit of spit and give it a rub and see if it'll come out, and to an extent it's done that, so that means cut and polish, and then a polish will remove that, no problems. On the other side, this one's even smaller again. This is not going to come out on the camera. We're talking a tiny little hairline mark, that's not going to show. Let's find the U2. Now the best thing when you're looking at panel is you don't look at panel from front on, look at panel from the length of it down the side, and straight away we can see it just here. I'm not sure if this will come up on the camera. You'll see the little bit of a scratch mark here, but it looks like somebody's opened their door on the vehicle and it's left a very little minor indentation. Now most auctions would give this a U1, TA gives it a U2, and you can hardly feel the indentation. Once again, you could probably maybe try some cut and polish on the mark and then buff it and see if you'll remove it. I wonder if I would bother to try and take that dent out or not. A little dent puller may be able to, if it's got a crease, it may be a little bit more difficult. But most people buying second-hand car, I don't think they'll be too concerned with that as long as you can get the mark out. The rear also has a couple of scratches, but the main thing we want to have a look at is the rear spoiler P. And you have a look up here, yeah, it's faded very, very badly. The spoiler, of course, is not metal, it's plastic, and this can be a problem when cars are parked outside all the time. The plastic does fade a lot quicker than anything else. So this is going to need, there's no way that's going to buff up. This is probably going to need a respray to get it nice and tight. The gate shocks, yep. They're not holding or supporting this at all, so you're going to have to replace the dampers or the shocks. While we've got it open, I'll hold it up, have a look at the interior. TA graded as a B interior, A being the best, E being the worst, and this is definitely, it looks almost new. It doesn't look like they've ever carried anything in the back, or else they've done a very, very good detail job and a very, very good vacuum job. Let's flip up, have a look. There's the tonneau cover, which goes into 2 slots. There's your spare, there's your jacks, everything's there. Nothing being lost. Hold it up, you can have a zoom through into the rest of the vehicle. And then we'll walk around to the front and have a look at the driver's seat. And start her up and have a listen. They've even put a nice piece of plastic on the back for the auction. If you look at the door trim, he's obviously given a little bit of an armour roll or a nice polish on the inside. You can see this has been done recently prior to putting it into auction. Let's get rid of the beep, beep, beep. But the trim doesn't show any excessive wear and tear. It does look in very, very good condition. The power window switches, everything not excessive whatsoever. The steering wheel, once again, not excessive. The gear shaft, things like the air conditioning buttons, the AC front rear mode, all of this lettering is all still very clear and not worn at all. passenger seat, dash, once again, all very, very clean. You wouldn't suspect that this vehicle's actually done 113,000 kilometres. And you can check the odometer in the car as well. Put it in drive and oh, there's no slipping with that gearbox whatsoever. It's foot hard on the brake near the rev, and this thing is trying to pull away. If this gearbox is even slightly dodgy, you'll get a little bit of a slip there. It's not slipping at all. Gearbox, the auto transmission is in very, very good condition, I think. This is the type of vehicle, unfortunately, that some less scrupulous exporters will target because it looks like it's done 40 or 50,000 kilometres. They'll connect this up to the computer and that 113 will be down to 50 or 40 or 50 tomorrow and export it off to wherever. To an extent, that's been stamped out with the registration certificates requiring the kilometres be registered on a vehicle every 2 years when it goes through its shuckling test. But unfortunately, some of the importers ask the exporters to wind back the kilometres on the vehicle. Okay, the engine looks very, very clean. VVTi engine. The battery looks reasonably new. If we pop the dipstick, check the oil. Oil colour looks quite new actually. I wonder if he's changed it recently. But it does look good. Let's check under the cap. There's no sludge in there and there's no sludge in the cap. So I think it has been changed reasonably regularly, which is always a good sign of a well-kept car. Have a look at the transmission is also a very clean pink, so there's no problems there either. If we look around the engine, TAA have noted nothing about the engine on this auction sheet, so I'll be betting 100 to 1 that there is not a spot of oil anywhere. And if we look down at the pan, the chassis members or anything, you know, the sort of places where oil might gather if it drips, we can't see anything anywhere. And then if you look at the various head connecting to the block, etc., you can't see anything anywhere there either. Here's a little bit of oil, possibly that when they've filled up, it's possibly dribbled onto the hot ones when it's been hot, and so a little bit there, but that's not from a leak, that's for sure. Engine coolant colour is very pink and new, so it may have been serviced. We've got what appears to be quite clean oil, quite clean transmission fluid, and quite clean coolant, so it's possible it's had a nice service and detail before it's been put into auction. Judging by the interior though, it's been a well looked after vehicle. And despite having 113,000 kilometres, I probably think it'll still go on for another 113,000 without much missing a beat. Very, very good car. But as I say, an example of the sort of car that maybe an exporter or an importer would like to perhaps wind the kilometres back on, which unfortunately still goes a lot these days when vehicles are exported. And don't ask us to wind back the kilometres, because sometimes refusal hurts people's feelings, but we definitely won't do it. Okay, we've found a bit of a classic here, the Toyota Century, never exported outside of Japan. A few people who are really Japanese car enthusiasts would know it, but the Toyota Century has been like the Japanese limousine car for decades. Now this particular one will have a 5-litre V8 in it, 5-litre V12, sorry. if we look at the car, we've just actually had a little bit of a look over it. It's absolutely spotless. It's beautiful. It's been maintained, obviously well looked after. The interior, have a look at the interior, the woodwork, once again the steering wheel, the dash, everything. Just the seats are starting in certain areas to show a little bit of dirt. But if we have a look at the auction sheet, have a guess at the kilometres, 282,082 kilometres, and it's a 2008 vehicle. So Japanese cars sometimes do a lot of mileage, especially this type of vehicle. Let's have a look under the bonnet and have a look at that V12 engine. Look at that. Not much to see, I guess, because you've got the engine cover on it. But that is a big 5-litre V12 engine that has been made for many, many years now. Super smooth, super quiet. I'll turn it on and let's see if we can get some sound in there for you. If I had a 50-cent coin, I could probably put it on the top and balance it there quite easily. No vibration there whatsoever. Bonnet dampers even after 280,000 kilometres are fine. Look at the fender mirrors. You haven't seen those in Japanese cars for like 30 years, but the Century still keeps them. Turn it off. Something you'd like to see if you come around this side. The president always rides in the back of the car, and so he can stretch his feet out. The cushion in the middle goes down. You can sit in the back and poke your feet through and relax. Okay. Just out of interest, we were walking past, so I thought I'd show you this car. We weren't going to make any more videos of cars today, but I couldn't resist. We just came downstairs, we found this Dodge Charger Mopar 10 with the 345 Hemi engine in it. I read the auction sheet. Worldwide, 500 special edition vehicles only produced. So you do see some interesting cars at Japanese auctions. You don't just see Toyota Restimas and Corollas. You do see some rare and interesting stuff. And if you're into cars, then you can absolutely have a fun day out at a Japanese auction.